Hey, so the reason why I'm here today is because of this article. I haven't gotten an actual magazine yet. But this is published in Time magazine. It's called The Baby Brokers Inside Adoption's Murky Private Adoption Industry. This article is extremely important because it's an eye opener for the rest of people out there who have no real idea of how adoption works in this country. I know other countries too, but I can only speak to our country. So this exposes one particular adoption agency, but one of the large ones. And there are many that function with these really underhanded ways. This company itself, in the article, I believe it says they make like $5 million a year on human babies. Isn't that trafficking? People that want a baby and can't afford it, they are able to come up with the money to pay an agency to get matched up with a woman who is considering possibly relinquishing their baby. And then there are these coercive methods that they apply. And I'm not saying this is all agencies, but it's a lot of agencies. This country, through the 50s and 70s, believed adoption is a solution to a problem. The problem is an unexpected pregnancy for an unwed mother and a family who wants children. So because it was so pervasive in society, it was such a big deal. Everybody sees adoption as like this great thing. Also, the way the media portrays it. These movies that show it all as, it's either it's a happy ending or there's some other issue like, the adoptee is so mentally disturbed they're a homicidal maniac or something. But really, if you think about that, I'm not saying that we are that way, but there is a serious, serious risk of mental health issues with being adopted. So I'm getting off course here. But this Time article, it's really important. And now is the time to try and collect more stories because, of course, the big agency issued a rebuttal on their website, on their blog, that was obviously written by attorneys and made to discredit everything. So like one person coming across that who doesn't really know anything about how it all works, if they see that rebuttal, they'll be like, okay, well, it's just like a one-off thing. It's not like this everywhere. It's like this in a lot of places. Go look at my interview with Carrie. She's a more recent first mom. So what I would really like to do over the course of this summer is get in touch with first moms, birth moms, bio moms, whatever your choice is of what you want to be called. Because to me, it's not up to me what you want to be called. So I want to get in contact with moms who relinquished in about the last decade or so, who would be interested in talking to me for my YouTube channel and telling their story, especially if they went through an agency or if they felt coerced in any way. We need to expose the stories of the vulnerable women who are taken advantage of just to fulfill the desires of people that have more resources than she has. It's a big deal. This needs to be brought to the light further. I'm so excited that this is in Time magazine because Time magazine is one of those ones that's sitting in doctors' offices and mechanics' waiting rooms, and it's everywhere. It's everywhere, unless I'm looking for one. But it's a big magazine. It's a 7-page spread. This is just a drop in the bucket of what goes on. We need to wake society up to the realities that young women are being taken advantage of constantly just because they're not sure if they can do it. They're not quite sure. Maybe they don't have a support system. That's not a reason to separate a family. It's not. There are supports out there. Agencies do things that are really shady. Like they'll tell them about resources, but maybe not tell them about all the resources that are available to them. They'll offer counseling, but it's only counseling with an in-house counselor. They do pre-birth matching. The adopters are at the hospital when the baby is born. All of this is extremely coercive and wrong. These practices need to change. The government needs to step in and realize this is going on. They need to wake up. The fact that in this country, nobody has ever kept account of how many adoptions have happened in this country. Not in the past year, not in the past 10 years. There's like a rough. It's a rough. They don't really know. How can you not know something like that? To just think that families are interchangeable and it's not a big deal. It's a huge deal, especially for those of us that it happened to. The mothers that are coerced into relinquishing or forced into it, like my mother, and the adoptees who have had to grow up feeling out of place their whole lives because it just wasn't right. It's real. There are adoptees out there that will say they don't feel this way. Okay, fine. There is spectrums for everything. And honestly, what I call it is it's a path. Being adopted, you're on a path. And it's like, to coin the phrase, the fog thing. When I was younger, I had decided that I wasn't going to have children, that I was going to adopt because adoption was so great, blah, blah, blah. I was clueless. It's literally just ignorance. If you don't know, you don't know. If you don't know what the effects were on you, you don't know until you start digging and you do things like reading The Primal Wound and joining groups that will show you. I'm 50 years old. I have been in this for a while. I had my reunion 20 years ago this month where I met my maternal family for the first time in my life at 30 years old. Until that moment, when I had the first phone call with my grandmother, I literally knew nothing about where I came from at all. Nothing other than my parents were teenagers from the North Hills of Pittsburgh. That's all I knew. How tragic is that? I mean, really. And I know lots of people, so many of us, grew up this way. And it continues to this day because there are closed adoptions. Oh yeah, that's the other thing agencies do. They dangle open adoption as if it's a carrot on a stick in front of an expectant mother, hoping that maybe she'll be like, oh, well, at least if I relinquish my child to this family, I can stay in touch. I'll know if they're okay. I'll get pictures. We'll have visits. Open adoptions are not legally enforceable. So if the adoptive family gets a little bit uncomfortable and they decide they aren't happy with the situation, they can close off the adoption and cancel contact. And there's no recourse for that mother. So let's try and keep this ball rolling. Spread the word. If you are a first mom, I will interview you through Zoom. If you want to be anonymous, you can keep your camera off and just be a voice in a black screen. I don't care. I just want people's voices telling their stories about what they went through dealing with agencies or lawyers or however they were coerced. Please come forward and share your story. Now's the time.